Hi, my name is Nick. I'm a trainee, a professional Japanese teacher. So this is part 3 session. So if you missed the previous video, you can check it out from here. Alright, let's just dive in. Let's go. Okay, let's summarize what we've learned in this series so far. We have a certain memorization process. Enter, encode, store, and search and output. And at the encode section, we have two types of encode. In the store section, we have two different types of memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. In this encode part, we are processing like this: environment input, sensory memory, attention, short-term memory, rehearsal, long-term memory, retrieve, and recall. And today we're going to be talking about the rehearsal and retrieve section to store your short-term memory to long-term memory. Rehearsal. This means a process of sending an information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Retrieve is the opposite way, pulling out necessary information to recall, like when you are thinking something. And when you are successfully store an information to short-term memory, there's some ways to store the information to your long-term memory. Generation effect, organizational input, collaborative rehearsal. Generation effect means you ask yourself to generate words from word fragments. It depends on people how to do it, but basically you refer a new word to something that you're familiar with. For example, when you're trying to learn a new word, big, and you refer this word to another word that you already know. Let's say small in this case. These words are antonym. So when you remember the word big, you say bigs. So you can generate the antonym word quickly, like big small, big small. It doesn't have to be antonym all the time. You can do it with synonyms or whatever you like to remember with, or make it a new word. For example, let's say you try to remember a word called genius. Then let's say you like to talk about something sexual. So you can make a new word by combining those words, saying like genius. This is generation effect as well. And organizational input. This is kind of like you remember things by organized group. For example, we experienced the capacity of our short-term memory on the last session, and we try to remember multiple images in 10 seconds. Those images you can sort into some groups: group of fruit, group of mechanics, and group of animals. This is organizational input. And elaborative rehearsal. This is like making an association between new word you were trying to learn and imagine the meaning of the word in your head. For example, you hear a word, apple. Then you picture an image of apple in your head. So now you can learn what apple means. Or feelings. When you hear or see a word called happy, for example, then you imagine a happy moment in your head, or act like you're happy. And just to make it clear, there's a similar word that called maintenance rehearsal. Maintenance rehearsal is a repetition of output to hold an information into short-term memory. Like when you're trying to make a phone call to someone and keep saying the phone number until you make a call. There's some ways to put an information into the long-term memory, but somehow we forget sometimes. Or you can remember anything without processing those methods. So What determines memory anyway? This is kind of summary of this session, so don't miss out. Memory equal frequency by impact. Frequency is you do something to remember over and over again, like you write a word on a notebook many times. And impact, this is something like an emotional attachment. Do you have any good or bad memories that you can't forget? For example, you got a car accident. That's not a good memory, but you remember it. Or when you're talking to your friends and they say something funny, like penis, and you laughed a lot. Or even anime or movies, they usually film a unrealistic world, so that's why you like them and you can remember specific scene that you loved. When it comes to the language acquisition, we can do the same thing to remember words and phrases, but most of all, stored as semantic memory. And this is not enough to master the new language. And we're going to be talking about long-term memory on the next episode. So, consider subscribing to this channel to get notified when I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. ありがとう。